Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is G. Cole, and welcome to Homegrown, where I get to share with you some good music while talking to some great people. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do, so we can keep you updated when new material is available. We will be posting new episodes bi-weekly. Also, check out the website Homegrown with G. Cole to listen and for all things homegrown. We're also very, very interactive. Please follow me on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook at MyGCole. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the deal. Let me grab my book right now, all right? And yes, I'm rubbing it in. I know you probably don't have a copy, but I'm going to show off like that. We've established that. No shame in my game. Let me get my other feed up. I got a whole bunch of feeds up, so I just don't want to leave anybody out. Want to make sure that everybody's being thoroughly and duly represented, all right? Samantha, again, blessings to you. All the massive in Europe right now, UK, everybody, shout out, shout out, shout outs, all right? You heard me talking all week and a half, maybe more, about this book, Shadow Dancing, all right? We've talked a little bit more than that too. We talk life. We talk men are from Mars, women are from Venus, the whole dynamics, all the arguments that I just cannot win. We've spoken about all of them, all right? But today we're going to have a conversation with Mr. Gary Cooper, the author of the book. It is called in its entirety, Shadow Dancing, My Journey as My Wife Came Out of the Closet, all right? First of all, let me say it's an excellent, excellent, excellent read. I actually, like I was telling you, I read the book in its entirety almost in one night because my goal was, let me catch a little piece of it, catch another little piece of it, catch another little piece of it. But it's one of the things where it's a page turner, and I caught the whole of it before I went to bed that night.
Wow,
you know what I mean?
That's good.
And these people see me a lot, so I'm turning my camera right now because they're just about ready to see you. They've seen the flyer, they want to see you in the flesh. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
The pleasure is indeed mine. It's indeed mine. And I've been looking forward to having a conversation just because, you know, to me, when I give out the name of the book to the masses, of course, they it sounds just so sensational. And when I say sensational, I mean like sensationalism. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's kind of how it sounds. However, reading the book, I see the book as pretty much more of a triumph over adversity, more so than anything else, right?
Yes.
You've met some of your readers, be it at book signings and stuff like that. Do you get that from them, or what do you get from your readers as their perspective, their interpretation? What do they get from the book?
Well, you know, I've met all kind of people. I've met people that have gone through that. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, I was in a bookstore one time, my wife and I. And what happened is I'm talking to the owner, and this girl out of the Clear Blue Sky walked into the door, into the store, and she's looking for the book.
Right.
And the owner said, "Oh, this is your lucky day. This is the guy that wrote it."
Right.
And she looked at me, and I took the book, and I turned it over. My picture's on the back. Mm-hmm. She said, "Yeah, that is you." And she said, "Look, I have a friend that's going through this, but she is the one that's about to take her husband and family through the same thing."
Oh, right.
And so she said, "I'm telling her that she's playing with fire because she was sneaking around with a woman behind his back."
Right.
And somebody told her to get that book and give that book to her to read it. And she was there to buy the book, and it was just that thing, you know? So that and the instant that I told you about in, Macon, Georgia. Mm-hmm. So, man, I've been getting all kind of,
wow.
I'm telling you, I've been getting everything. I had no idea when I originally wrote the book, I had no idea what happened was going to happen.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I didn't write it even thinking about it being, you know, a book that's all over the world. You know?
Right.
I had no idea.
Just putting the story out.
Just putting the story out. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know how the story was going to get out.
Right.
Because, you know, like me and like with most things, you doubt the fact that anything can happen about it. So what happened with me is that when I was writing the book, I was, you know, finding all kinds of excuses. Well, what about this? How am I going to get a publisher? How can I get it financed? And I'm thinking of all this stuff, and it just kept coming to my spirit. Just write the book.
Yeah, that's the first step.
Just write the book.
Yeah,
I'm worrying about down the road. It's everything like that. And then when I finished writing the book, out of the Clear Blue Sky pops a publisher. Will do the book. See, so I thought to myself, when people speak about this subject,
right,
and they talk about God and religion, I'm like, God is all over this book.
Wow.
All over this book.
Wow, and I get that.
Yeah, you're right.
I get that from reading it.
God is all over this book, you know.
It's a brilliant body. It's a great work, is what I'm going to say.
Thank you so much.
And I liken it to, like I was telling you earlier, in this day and age, when it comes to reading books, we're so, our attention span is so short nowadays that to get somebody to actually read a book, you get intimidated. I've got books up here I haven't started yet because they're this thick.
Yes.
They got the hardcover.
Right.
And this looks like a month's worth of reading right here.
Yes.
And but this one is not that way. And truthfully, even if it was twice the size it is, I'd probably still have completed it within a night because it's a page turner. It's a page turner.
Thank you so much.
I dig it. But I always say to folks on the program, musicians and otherwise, that in order for me to understand you and what you've done and why you do what you do, we kind of have to get in a rearview mirror a little bit.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Talk to me a little bit about Gary, the man, taking me from growing up, Detroit, Florida, as a young, not just a young man, but a young black man at that point in time. Yes. Talk to me a little bit. Give me an insight into that.
Well, I came up in segregation. And as I spoke about in the book, at the time, I'm pretty sure there was a gay and lesbian community around us, but we were so insulated at the time because there was blacks live with blacks and whites live with whites.
Right.
Where I was raised in Hollandale, if you were black, on a certain time in the evening, you better be back on the other side of Pembroke Road or Hollandale Beach Boulevard, and you better not be over on the other side of the tracks or cross Dixie Highway.
Right.
And we were like in this community, My dad, he had a store, gas station, so he was a little entrepreneur. He was the first black man to run for commissioner.
Wow.
In Hollandale. And so that was my hero. So I came up with my hero in my house.
Wow.
I didn't have no hero or no idol outside of my house. And I think there's a whole lot of black families at the time had those strong black men.
Yeah.
And the most important thing to my father was his family. And he was one of those kind of guys that would say, look, if you want to do something, you got to learn how to do it right. So when I wanted to learn how to play guitar, he put me in guitar class, right? When I wanted to play piano, well, it's okay, but you got to learn how to play it properly.
Right.
I got piano lessons,
I got you.
And everything was like that. Education, learning how to do it properly. That was Sanford Cooper, a very positive man,
Right.
So from that, I came up in that environment of a village, right? And so I'm pretty sure it helped me to not give up when it came down to writing the book.
Right.
So from that, I moved on to playing in local bands, clubs, stuff like that. And then in 1979, we signed with Capitol Records, and we had a top 10 album entitled Silver Platinum that we produced, wrote, toured, did the whole thing,
Right. And that was the name of the group.
The name of the group was Silver Platinum.
Right.
As a matter of fact, if you go into YouTube, and then you'll see all of our records. We had a bunch of records I wrote for other people. I was living in New York at the time. What happened, we had New York management. We had New York business manager. Everything was like that. Road manager. We had Natalie Cole's road manager, Mike Elder. Wow. So we was really out there. And I'm looking at the time, I'm looking at who were friends of mine, people that I was hanging out with, And I was hanging out with the people that I was looking up to as, the guys in Kool and the Gang.
Right.
I'm looking at these guys, Stephanie. These are the people that are now friends of yours. And I had the experience, and I realized then that, that was just no different from that because everybody still had problems,
Right.
And the record business, as you know, is like a rat race, and I didn't like it anymore.
Yeah.
Because when I did it in clubs and whatnot, it was fun. When it became touring, you had a top 10 album. Everybody, it changed. It turned into strictly business.
Once fun becomes business, then
strictly business, though. No fun, and that's what people don't understand, So when they hear entertainers saying, "Well, I don't like to go on the road," that's the reason why,
Right. Right.
So yeah, it's a difficult business, So I left that, moved. I settled all the lawsuits, left the record business, moved from New York back here, and went to hair school, learned how to do hair, and everything from me getting back and meeting my a wife at the time led to that book.
Wow.
Wow. That was a shortcut. That's a short version. I wish it happened just that quick, but that was a short version of what happened,
I tell you, like I said to you earlier, the only thing more interesting than a lie is the truth. Yes. You know what I mean? And,
yes.
And the thing that I got from the book, which probably was some sort of healing for you also, is just the fact that, every time we go through something as human beings, especially as men, we assume that it's unique to us.
Yeah, yes.
You know what I mean? So once the conversation starts and you realize that it's not, but how much would you say that the music business, a grimy business,
yes,
right?
Yes,
the music business prepared you, or did it at all, for the experience that you would encounter
You know,
Right
that's
here.
a good question, and I'm thinking it did, but that at the time that I was going through it was so great that I'm not even sure the record business prepared me for that.
Right, right.
But yet it did.
It did.
I know it sounds crazy, right?
I understand what you mean.
So
I understand
yes.
exactly what you mean.
Yes.
Now, I've read the book. Like I said, I had the luxury of reading the book, and ladies and gentlemen, the book is here. It's like I said, it's a lovely, lovely book. It's a nice read. I'm giving you the visuals right now. Make sure you go ahead and get your copy. For those people, I advise to go ahead and read it so you can participate later on. We're going to open these lines up so you can. All right. But for those who are yet to get to it, let's start from the beginning of it. Right. So we're talking about you and Connie,
Right.
which is your previous wife.
Right.
How did you guys meet?
I'm trying to remember. Oh, I know how it was. I used to manage this club because I had some friends that opened up a really nice club. And what happened is that they needed somebody to come in and take up the club because it wasn't going anywhere. Beautiful club. And, you know, they knew that I had experience in the record business and with music. So they said, hey, can you come in and manage and pull this club up?
Right.
Which is what I did. So I did, I bought in like One Way when they had Cutie Pie. You know, it was a club like that. I changed the sound system. I bought in a New York DJ, bought in lighting, fogging machine to make it a club that people wanted to come to. you know?
Right.
And so what happened is that she came into the club one night with her cousin, which was somebody that I knew, and they introduced us. And she had a company that did fashion shows because back then you could do fashion shows at clubs and hotels. They were big back then in the 90s like that, you know,
Right.
Late 80s, early 90s. And she wanted to do a fashion show, a Mother's Day show. And so we worked on this Mother's Day show together. And it went over so well.
Right.
It was complete with dinner. It was a really nice show. We got a lot of the stores out of the different malls to bring the clothes in. And so it was a really nice event.
Wow.
And I think I liked the way we handled it, you know,
Together.
because I also had a company called Cooper & Associates Marketing and Advertising. And so we did a lot of promotion. She had a company and did these shows. And so I said, like, if we combine the two together,
Right.
you know, I become vice president of your company, you become vice president
Gotcha.
of mine, and we combine it. So we was doing all these shows, you know. We did all these shows, and you know, we would rent a hotel, ballroom, do a show, and we was constantly doing these little things like that, right? And we end up getting married, but
Right.
I realized later it wasn't really because of anything other than we worked well together.
Right,
So
right,
sometimes the illusion of love comes in the form of we're good business partners.
Right.
That makes sense, you know. I mean, it wasn't my thoughts. It was like
It completely makes sense.
Yeah. So I think at the time, my thinking was that way at the time, you know.
And I think a lot of people end up in that situation too,
Oh,
because
yes.
I think most people end up on down the aisle for reasons other than just pure
There you
love.
go.
Because
That's right.
the concept of marriage right now is
Right.
it's work.
Yes.
It's
a lot of work.
it's almost like running a business.
Yes.
So if you can, and again, we had a conversation when the ladies were here the other day.
I
If you can
saw
make
it.
that work,
Yes.
then maybe love will find its way in later.
You think
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, right?
Yes.
But so you made this, you met this lady, and she was obviously as driven as you are.
Yes.
Worked as hard as you did.
Yes.
Shared similar backgrounds when it comes to being a parent and stuff like that.
Yes.
So there's a bunch of things that you have in common that would probably, in addition, make you think that, well, maybe we have things in common, so we can definitely make it work, right?
Right.
Now, in hindsight,
Yes.
from the very get-go, were the signs there and you ignored them, you think? Or was there like a Pandora's box that she hadn't yet opened?
Yes, you know, to be totally honest with you, I had never thought about it because you're talking about somebody that is a girly girl. I mean, she did a lot of modeling. She was real girl in the clothes, fashion, shoes.
Right.
So I just never thought about it. Makeup, I never thought about it. And most people that knew her knew, you know, I'm pretty sure they thought the same thing. However, now, fast forward this many years back, and people say, yeah, we had an idea that something was going on. But I'm like, yeah, right. At the time, you
Monday
thought-
morning quarterbacks.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But, you know, to be honest with you, not a clue.
Right.
Not a clue.
Right.
Not a clue.
I
In the
understand.
beginning. However, throughout the relationships, relationship, I saw little small things and small things that happened and then I would ask her about it, and she would get an attitude.
Right, right.
And sometimes when a person gets an attitude, it throws you off, and you go, okay, well, maybe I was wrong.
And we're talking about a Caribbean woman here.
Most important.
So her attitude ain't no regular attitude.
Ain't no attitude, right?
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yes. So that's what ended up. So that is the reason that when it happened, and it's not that it happened. I think it was more the way,
right,
and with whom.
Right.
Those were the things that were most important.
I got you.
In the entire story,
I got you. Now, and we've already spoken about it. It's my journey as my wife came out of the closet.
Yes.
How differently do you think? And I ask most times, this is the first thing comes to mind.
Okay.
How differently do you think things would have played out if the infidelity was with a man?
And you know what? I was at a thing and somebody asked me the same question: would you feel any different if it had been a man? And for the first time, I stopped. I had to think about it.
Right.
And that's when I came to the reality that hurt is hurt and pain is pain.
Wow.
They both feel the same, and I've experienced both. So I realized then that it didn't feel any different, but it was just the dynamic of what was going on. Plus, like I said, with whom and how, which we'll get into later.
Yeah.
And all the things that happened after that.
Yeah.
And so I think it was more than that, because the reality is this. And this is how the record business did prepare me, and it gave me an open mind. Because when you're in the record business and you're touring all over the world, you see and meet so many different type of people.
Everybody.
So I believe that at the time, if she had just set me down and we had talked about it, I would have been her biggest cheerleader. Right? Because I would totally get it. Right. And now let me tell you this story right here to make, and I have to say this because I know a lot of people are very homophobic. I know a lot of people are very religious.
Right.
And I have to tell them like this. I was in a group, and back in the mid 70s, I was reading this book. And the book, it was about this girl, and it probably took place in the 40s, in the beginning. And this girl had these pills. Her mother and father said, look, you're going to have to take these pills for the rest of your life because you have some kind of a blood disease.
Right.
And what happened is that all she knew is that. So so now fast forward to maybe the 60s, maybe, because she went over to college. She fell in love with this girl. She had what she thought was a lesbian relationship. Turns out when she got sick and had to have this operation, she realized that she was more male inside than female.
Gotcha.
You start seeing all these things going on inside her. She didn't know what was going on. She went back to her mother. By then, her father had passed away. She asked her mother. Her mother said, well, the reality is that you came into the world as a hermaphrodite.
Right.
Two sex organs.
Right.
They pulled us back into the room. And they wanted to know which sex that we want. We chose girl. Nature took over. And, of course, inside you might have had all these other things, but nature said, no, you're a male, because that was the dominant. Maybe that's a dominant gene, maybe.
Right.
And so what happened is that it's not that she was having a lesbian relationship. She was attracted to what was natural for her to be attracted to.
Right.
And that's when I came to the realization that the reason God say judge lest ye be judged, because the reality is you don't know. You don't know what goes on inside of a person that make them into who they are.
Right.
So that's why they say do not judge a person, because you don't know.
Right.
So you don't know whatever happens inside of a person, even my wife, at the time that make her attracted to who she's attracted to, because you're attracted to and you love who you love. That's the bottom line. It's done.
Right.
And it's nobody else's business.
Right.
But that's the point right there of judging. So I had to say that because that is always a religious view, and it's either, and I hate to bring God into this, but I have to.
God's everywhere.
Because God created us, right? But it helped me to see that whole issue in a totally different light. So I can't judge you. I got to love you because of the fact that God made you. And either God is psychotic or he's not. Either you say love your neighbor as you would yourself, or you say you don't. You can't do both,
Right.
So.
I understand completely. Good evening, Nads. Welcome to the program. Hope says, hey, Gary.
I got to thank Hope, by the way. Thank you so much, Hope.
Hope's a trip. EK says, are you related to Kermit Cooper? That means no.
Okay.
So no, EK. If it was just an act or acts, of infidelity and not a full-blown I love somebody else, a relationship type of a vibe.
Yeah.
Do you think, not from her standpoint, but from your standpoint, you would have been able to work it out or mend whatever you thought was broken? Or is it the fact that she was, not the infidelity, but she was totally gone emotionally to somebody
Yes,
else?
Somebody else, yes. Wow, that's a good question. And I'll answer it like this. My advice is always, and I'm saying this because somebody asked me the question once.
Right.
At a book signing. How do you advise somebody that's in that position to move from a relationship of being married with a family and move into another lifestyle? And my answer to them was, if you really feel that's what you are, don't be a coward.
Right.
You sit your family down and your husband down and you speak to him and you talk to him. And he might be mad at first, but as long as he knows that there's not somebody else out there, and that's any relationship. See that, and that's where the similarities come in at. It's the same exact thing.
Right.
A woman find out that you're out there sneaking around with a woman, right? She's going to be upset with you. But if you break off and there's nobody, it's just that, look, we don't feel each other anymore like that.
Right.
I need to move on. It's like that. But if you're sneaking around, whenever you bring a third person into the issue,
Betrayal.
It changes. Right. Betrayal comes in, and the dynamic of what's going on changes, you know? And so that's what happened. And that's why I always say, no, you let that go first and you make sure everything is okay. And when that is okay, then you go and you seek that other lifestyle. You pursue that.
Right.
But you can't do both.
Right.
And that's where the whole bomb explodes at, you know, that when you do that, you know, and it's in a relationship. I don't care if it's a lesbian, straight, I don't care what it is.
Could be just friends.
Could be anything.
Same thing.
Yes.
Betrayal is betrayal.
Betrayal is betrayal.
And it has the same atomic effect.
Thank you.
You know, it's the thing I wonder about sometimes too, and people ask or wonder, you know, whenever people go through things, as human beings sometimes, we go through things. We talk about the world's going to hell in a handbasket and how bad people are and whatever the case may be.
Yes.
But I think innately people are good people. And the reason why, especially as I talk to you, most times people go through these things that are hurtful to them. But if you ask them the questions about it, a lot of times it sounds like after the healing's done, they do more protecting of the other person.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Because truthfully, you can look at it and say, okay, you know what? It's one of two things. It's either you discovered yourself and I need to accept, embrace, and it is what it is.
Yes.
Or you were selfish as all hell because you knew all along. You know what I mean? Drag me into this bull. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So for me, I always have to commend people that when they go through the storm, but they come out not bitter.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
What is it? Why is it? How is it that Gary's not bitter?
Probably because what I had to deal with was understanding. Because for me, well, when it first happened to me, I thought I was the only person. I had no idea that this happens all the time. I'm in the salon one day. I'm really out of it, right? I'm really out of it because of whom it was,
right.
As they'll find out later. But a friend of mine came. This guy, man, I'm telling you, he would come to the shop all the time.
Right.
Tall, you know, salt and pepper hair, you know, the curly kind of hair that women tend to like. Always dressed nice, drove her like a Jaguar, you know, real looker for some women, you know?
Right. Playboy kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had no idea he came to the shop, the new shop that I was at now. And he said to me, hey, can I talk to you, my brother? I said, sure. Go outside and we talk. He said, look, I don't want you to think that you're the only one that have gone through something like this.
Wow.
I said, no. He said, no. He said, I went through the exact same thing. He said, how did you think that I got here from Chicago?
Oh, so he left Chicago to get away from that.
In the 70s, him and his wife, good marriage, he thought. He got sick, went into the hospital, and his wife had a friend girl. And somebody came by the hospital and said, hey, how often have you seen your wife, or something to that effect? He said, no, I hadn't seen her that much, but she's working, dealing with the household and whatnot. And she said, okay, because, when I pass by there all the time, I see so-and-so's car there. And he said all of a sudden something hit him like a ton of bricks. He checked himself out of the hospital, took a cab to the house, walked in, they're in the bed together.
Wow.
That's how he came to the realization. That's how he found out.
And he's coming from the hospital.
He's coming from the hospital.
Wow.
Right? He walked in, he saw something that he can't get out of his head.
Right.
Now, the reality is, if she had been in the bed with a man,
Right.
He wouldn't be able to get it out of his head either.
Right.
So it wouldn't have made a difference. But
Right.
that was a different dynamic, something he had never thought about before, you know?
Right.
So that's where the shot come in at.
Right.
So what happened, he said, no, that's how I got down here. He said, I got tired of my homeboys, because it's back in the 70s. So, we were a lot different then. He said, man, I got tired of my homeboys. He said, man, you let a woman take your wife from you. I mean, his boys was hard on him.
Right.
He said, I moved down here to get away from that. That's how I got down here.
Wow.
So, so it impacted him just like that. But for the first time for me, I realized I'm not the only one.
Right.
So that's what happens. Just like women that are in abusive relationships, they think they're the only one, and the line is long of those that think they're the only ones.
Oh yeah.
In things, So.
Oh yeah.
Sorry about that.
No problem. I got it here. And ladies and gentlemen, again, it's called Shadow Dancing. My journey as my wife came out of the closet. Make sure you go ahead and pick it up. It is dope. The infidelity, the deceit. All right. That in itself is atrocious to anybody. All right. However, in my eyes, from reading the book, it's what followed.
Yes.
The lies, the fraud, the misappropriation of family funds,
the
defamation of your name and your character and stuff like that.
Yes.
How much did that part affect you? And was that really a bigger blow to you than the infidelity itself was?
Oh, yeah. Wow. Just when you think it can't get any worse.
Always the case, right? You think it's done, it ain't done yet.
You think it can't get any worse.
Right.
It did. And because as you know, if you notice the almost ending is in the beginning of the book.
Right.
It opens and that was intentional to open the book. And I tell you where that came from. That came from my cousin Isaiah. He's a great writer, and he told me, take this and put it in the front. So I thought about that, and I took it and put it in the front. He was absolutely correct.
Right.
And I thought about it in terms. Have you ever seen True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yep.
And if you notice, those kind of movies, they start out with action.
Right from the opening scene.
Right from the open scene, and he's sliding down, guns blazing. He go down, get into the van. They fly back home, and he's sitting, and the music's changed.
Right.
And that's what that was about. It goes back, and that's
now
what the
you
book
can hear
was
the story.
reading about it. Yes, right.
Yeah.
And that's why I wrote coming up the stairs like that in the book, to give you that same feeling,
Right.
So that was purposely done, And like I said, I can't take the credit for that. I have to thank my cousin Isaiah for that.
Isaiah was a good idea.
Hey man,
That's a good idea.
Let me tell you, he's a great writer. You know what I mean? So yes. I wouldn't want you to think that I'm that brilliant, because I'm not. He is, So what ended up happening though is that when I went upstairs and I confronted her about this, because that's when I found out what had happened. And I'm not gonna give the rest of the book away just so you can read it, but I'm talking in a way that they can understand it, kind of what happened, but you still have to read the book. Where's the camera? You still have to read the book to find out the story.
You gotta.
But I give you something to think about.
You gotta.
So when I found out, I was surprised at how calm I was. No, because I was conscious of my son in Kosi. He's in the room, and and her son from a previous. He's in the other room. So I'm thinking in my mind they're in the room. So I'm not one that like to have everybody here going crazy, shouting.
Right.
I was very calm. Just the way I'm talking to you right now is the way I was speaking that morning. And I said, just get all your stuff and get out. Just go. Because now I had figured it all out.
Right.
And like I said, the whole thing of how it happened and why I came to that point is in the book. And what happened, and she said, I'm not going anywhere. I'll show you. And I said to her, well, you just show me how quick you can get up out of here. I went to the bathroom.
Right.
Wash my face. Because even though I wasn't shouting, I was still mad. I was angry,
Yeah.
but I was calm.
Yeah.
She went downstairs, about maybe 15, 20 minutes go by. He had walkie-talkies downstairs. And the police is downstairs.
Right.
And I look downstairs. I'm wondering why they're there. And the police say, Mr. Cooper, are you, do you have any weapons, anything? I said, no. Can you come and speak with us? I said, sure. I don't even know why they're there still.
Right.
So I go downstairs, and they said to me, Mrs. Cooper said that you beat her up. I was stunned. So I said to him, I said, well, look at Miss Cooper and see if there's anything on her that would suggest to you that I did something to her, because I think I could take her. I'm not a huge guy, but I think I can take her. I mean, you'll see a mark, you'll see a scratch, a pull, you'll see something other than somebody crying. You'll see that, and I always say she deserved like an Academy Award because
Meryl Streep on.
Yes, and so the police says, he say, well, we're going to go back here and take Miss Cooper they took her into another room and speak with her, stay here with Officer so-and-so. Then he came back with handcuffs. We're going to arrest you for domestic violence. I go, what? I was like stunned,
The battle you can't win.
But let me show you how ego works. When they put the handcuffs, and this is my first time ever been in trouble, and I didn't consider myself in trouble because I hadn't done anything, right?
Right.
Well, what ended up happening, I'm thinking in my mind, ego. I'm walking outside with my neighbors because they were all in the road, with me with handcuffs on, and I'm thinking about how this must look, That's ego is a heck of a thing. But sometimes you get humbled. You get humbled.
When you least expect it.
When you least expect it. And I got inside the car. I mean, I'm at my lowest now. And like I said, I didn't think
so you think.
It got lower, so yeah. That's the thing. Hey, yeah, you think you can't get any lower than that. Now think about that.
There's always a basement.
Hey, and then there's a basement underneath the basement,
Oh my gosh. Jayu, welcome. Kojo, welcome. Sharon, welcome. It's a vibe. Oh my gosh. I tell you this, a lot of these circumstances don't end in a way where people can laugh about it. So to me, it's always great because we watch the news all the day and we see certain things play out.
Yes.
We don't know the reason why it goes that route.
Yes.
But 9 times out of 10, it's some stuff like this.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So you don't know. Now, your son, you mentioned your son's in the room.
Yes.
And that's your son together.
Right. This one is together.
And then, of course, she has her son.
Right. And then I came into their life when he was about 4 or 5 years old.
So you're
I raised
pretty
him
much
too.
his dad, too.
Right. I was, because he didn't have any relationship with his father. Anything like that, yes. So
and amazingly enough, it's again, I always feel like when it comes to relationships, be it marriages or whatever, ending.
Yes.
It's a little bit more challenging the more you've invested in it. And in this case, you're invested in not just her, but you're invested in, being a father figure to a son that's not your own.
Right.
And it's just so much that's putting in there, and then and then for all that to get violated. Now, your son's your son.
Yes.
Sons have a tendency, or kids, moms are in a place, I feel like, where pops can never be.
Right.
Biologically set up that way.
Right.
You got to screw up real bad for them to take pops over mom.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, see, now this is the strangest thing. I'm understanding later that the reason that we had that child was because out of the clear blue sky one day, it was tough for her. She was trying to deal with her sexuality. Because number one, she comes from a Jamaican family, religion. And you know how it is in Jamaica. That don't go too well there.
No.
That don't go too well.
Prove your womanhood tomorrow.
Right. So apparently that was going on in her mind over there when they moved over here. And over here it's a little more liberal over here, And so she was dealing with this. And that's the way we end up with him.
Right.
Because out of the clear blue sky, she wanted to have another kid.
Right.
I hadn't even thought about it. I thought I was done with kids at the time. And so what happened is that... okay, we had this kid. That's how Kosi came into the world. And the minute he came into the world, I guess she figured, oh, wow. I think she was trying to deal with, well, if I have this, I don't know, but I'm just assuming.
Right.
If I have this child, maybe these feelings that I'm having will go away. But apparently it didn't. So when he came into the world, you have to imagine he and I was bonded. And the reason is because when he was like an arm baby, he would cry in the middle of the night. I was the one that went and got him, picked him up.
Right.
I changed him. I did everything, bathed him. And so by the end of this whole thing, he and I were so closely bonded. I mean, this kid wouldn't even breastfeed from his mother.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Crazy.
So vibrations are something else, because those are the things that little children pick up on, vibrations,
Oh, yeah.
And so they just never was bonded. Even to this day, they just never bonded like that,
And the funny thing is, it happens.
Yeah.
It happens way more, as we say, way more often than we think. Roy says, let me see here. Such an enlightening way he chose to deal with it, and also to educate others beyond the damning prescription of the Holy Bible. Hey, man, we go get there, all right? We'll get to the Bible. What I always want in situations like these, Gary, is that's your son.
Yes, yes.
But there was a son there that's, though you raised him up from he was young,
Right.
that's still her
Her
biological son.
Right.
And I know that must have created some form of a friction, some form of a rift. Were you guys able to recover from that?
Yes,
Yeah.
we did, because what happened to him, that's mom. And so he thought, because at the time she, sometimes you throw a lot of stuff at the wall and some things you hope it stick, because sometimes you need that because you need people to see you in a certain way.
As a victim.
Yeah, because you got to remember, I couldn't go to my house.
Right.
I couldn't go to my business because we owned a salon together.
Right.
So think about this. I'm in jail I went to Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Right.
Right? And then even when they bonded me out on Monday morning, I didn't get out until like Monday late in the evening sometime.
Right.
I couldn't go back to my house.
Right.
I couldn't go back to my business.
Right.
Right? But her mother from Jamaica called and said, that boy didn't do that. Go and get him out of there. So my brother-in-law, when you're in jail, I didn't know this. When you're in jail, you don't realize that sometimes there are people out there doing stuff on your behalf.
Yeah.
Because
you're locked away in this little spot.
so I don't know nothing. I don't realize that people are out there doing things to get you out of there. You don't know this. You just feel. I couldn't remember anybody's phone number because of these doggone cell phones.
Oh, I know that.
So I couldn't think of anybody's phone number.
Yeah.
Learn your phone numbers. Because back in the day, we learned phone numbers, right? We knew everybody. We knew home.
Right.
Well, what happened? Let me tell you something.
I'm just thinking about it now. I'm like, what would I do?
Yes. Yeah. I couldn't call anybody because I tell you, if ever there was a God, it was there in jail with me because what happened? Well, number one, I couldn't eat the food.
Right.
I couldn't eat. I couldn't even identify the food. And I had guys and they said, "Man, you don't want that, man? I'll take that."
Wow.
It's like the guy said to me, he said, "Man, you don't even look like you belong in here." But the beauty of going, sometimes God bless you and you don't even realize you've been blessed. Because I got a chance to go to jail. And I realized those people that we look at as being that way, those people basically took care of me.
Again, judge not.
Thank you. Because let me tell you something. The minute I walked into the cell, there was this little slice of a window, long thing, but it was thin. A bunk bed here, a bunk bed there. And if you want to use the bathroom, there's a toilet and everything right there, that if you need to do anything heavier than anything heavy, you got to sit there and
in front of everybody.
So of course I never did. The whole
I wonder who came up with this. I guess they're trying to make sure you don't enjoy it over here. So,
but the other part is that one of the guys said, "Man, look, man, you don't even look like you belong in here." So so look at here, man. You take the top bunk. And look, you don't just stare at that window because you're going to start getting claustrophobic. Just stare at it, look at it every now and then. They're telling me how to get along in this place. Nobody did
teaching
anything.
some survival skills in jail.
In jail, right? And they're telling me this stuff, and they're telling me about the magistrate. And so on the morning that I was going to a magistrate, early in the morning, the thing clicked. You could hear a click, and it's a door opening. And I go to get up, and they remind you, I hadn't had anything to eat or drink the whole time I was there. I think I ate a part of a banana because I could see the banana and it's in a peel and I can take it out of the peel. So I know it's a banana, right?
They didn't make that.
So what happened is that when I go to get up, I'm walking to the door and all I remember was waking up with the guys holding me up in the cell.
Oh, wow.
That meant I passed out.
You passed out.
I passed out. And one of the guys had ran and got some cereal and started saying, man, Gary, man, you gotta eat. You gotta eat. You gotta go to a magistrate because you don't want to go to the infirmary because if you don't, it's going to extend the time that you're going to be here.
These guys know the prison laws. Huh?
They know the law, and they'll feed me cereal.
Right,
I'm eating it, giving me like juice or something like that, and I can finally I'm wobbly, but I'm able to get up. And then the most humiliating things I was kind of wobbly, but they did get me strong enough to go to magistrate because they said you do not want to miss magistrate, you don't want to have to go to the infirmary. So what I did, I got my strength up some kind of way with all of this cereal. They knew I had to have something to eat. I need to put something. So, but they handcuffed us to each other. Then they shackled, and they took us off to this courtroom, and I'm in court now with all these guys. You know, it was like humiliating.
Wow.
But at the same time, I guess I know I had to go through that because it was experience that I was supposed to experience. Otherwise, I never would have, you know?
Right.
So let me tell you something. So I have a whole nother outlook on that. And I got a chance, while I was there, I got a chance to talk to people. And everybody that was in there hadn't done what they said they did.
Right.
And I knew that because I was in there.
Right.
And I knew I hadn't done what I was accused of doing. And let me tell you something. I had to go to court, complete with a jury, because they wanted to give me a plea deal.
Right.
And unfortunately, most black men, they're scared of plea deals. They're scared of plea deals. Well, they're scared of going to court because of the images that they know the jury will see.
Right.
And so what happened is that I ended up going to court, and I was found not guilty because it didn't happen.
Right.
But I mean, I didn't have money to get a good attorney because by the time I got out of jail, my wife had gone and taken all the money out of the bank account.
Right.
Like $5 or something like that was left in the bank. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Everything was
Can't
gone.
get that at the ATM
so I
either.
can't get that. Right.
Right.
So I had gotten that. I couldn't go home. So I went back to my in-laws' house. Is what they was instructed, when you come and get him out of jail. Because when they bonded me out, when they finally let me out, I gathered all my stuff, but I didn't know where I was going to go.
Right.
I didn't know nothing.
Right.
And I remember walking out into this lobby, and my brother-in-law's there.
Wow.
Saying, "Come on, man, you know."
Wow.
You know, blah blah blah. Told me his wife, said, "Bring you home."
Yeah.
So I went over there. They had bought all my clothes over there, and so all this stuff was going on my behalf. I had no idea what was going on. You know what I mean? So, and then they ended up bringing Kosi over there because the whole time he was worried, "Where's Dad?"
Right.
Because like I said, we're bonded like
That's
that.
where the
you know?
bond is. Yeah.
And so we moved from there to a 1-bedroom apartment.
Life changed.
Oh man, yeah. So but I tell you, a really thing that changed, the day that changed my outlook as a father, I was in pain. I didn't know, right? Because I was still dealing with this issue of the trial.
Right.
And what ended up happening one day, a girl, which is her friend, walked up to me and said, "I happen to know that you didn't do what you were accused of doing." I said, "How'd you know?" She said, "Because she told me." I go, "Well, what happened?" She told me the story that when she found out that I was in jail, she ran up to the house and said, "But did he hit you?" And she said, "No, he didn't hit me, but I will, but I just had to get the negative out of the house and the business. But don't worry, I'll make it right. I'll undo it." And I didn't realize that she went down and she said, "I don't want to press any charges." But of course, when that happens, you get an automatic restraining order, so you can't go,
Right.
That's automatic, right? She didn't want to press any charges. She thought that'll just end it because we had a really nice house. She didn't want to lose the house, right? So what happened is that the state still picked up the charges.
Yeah.
They did it anyway.
So now it's the state versus you.
The state versus me. So she can either say, "Oh, I lied," or she can go with it, which is what she did.
Right.
So, man, I mean, we did the whole thing with the, I didn't have the money to get an attorney, so I was going to have to get a public defender probably.
Yeah.
And I had a client, she's an attorney, a good attorney. She said, "Gary, why don't you let me," she said, "I hear you got into a situation." I said, "Yeah." She said, "Why don't you let me represent you?" I said, "I can't afford you." She said, No, I'm going to do this because I know you didn't do it. Right? And she came in and we did jury selection that Monday, and we did the trial that Tuesday. And the verdict came like so quick because once you start doing all of the stuff and bringing out the, and she said to me, "I'll come and testify on your behalf." Now, mind you, this is my friend. But she saw that was her friend, but she knew something wrong had happened.
Right.
And so what ended up happening is that I was found not guilty. The verdict came back so quick, and so now we're dealing with that. Oh, and the last thing the judge said once he finally dismissed the jury, he said some cases should not come to court, and this was one of them.
Wow.
Because the reality is that they had just taken depositions or just questioned people.
So they knew.
They knew,
They knew.
So yes.
When I read that in the book, I was amazed, but the thing that came to my mind was for you and to you, how important was it, right? And I'm going to say in your healing and recovery, because that's exactly what somebody needs after something like this.
Oh,
You
yes,
know what I mean?
yes, yes, yes.
How important was it to you in your healing and your recovery that people, and especially not just people, but some of her people,
Yes.
knew and believed that those accusations were not true?
Yes.
How important was that?
That was very important. I think humans have this thing of I think we're proud people, and nobody want people to feel that they did something wrong.
Right.
Even the people that did do something wrong, they'll still try to convince people that they
didn't do
didn't
it.
do something wrong, right?
I didn't do it.
Because we have that need for
Right.
people to feel like you are a good person, because by nature we are, So the answer to that question is yes, very important.
Wow.
Very important.
That's one of the first things that crossed my mind. And I also wonder in situations like these, you weren't given the opportunity, and I'm talking about the relationship now.
Yes.
And because this now brings what would have been a private situation into the public eye.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. Because we were
Cops
very
involved,
because we were
neighbors
very
involved.
public at the time.
At that point, you got no choice.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
Yes.
If you were given the opportunity to be discreet about all of this,
Yes.
avoid the embarrassment, avoid
Yes.
the business implications.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
All of those things, the unnecessary scrutiny from the public and so forth. How differently do you think things would have worked out, good or bad? Do you think it's a situation where you could have probably said, you know what, that's what you're going through.
Yes. Yes.
We'll work our way out of this one.
Yes. That's a good question. I'm trying to think how to answer that one. To be honest with you, I think I could have, because I know me, right? We could have worked through that whole thing, as far as I was concerned, in a way that was less public.
Right.
See, this was the issue right here, and this was the sticking point right here. We had a friend, and this is what, when I was talking about the dynamics of who it was, and this is important to the book, so that's why I'm not really giving away anything, but it was important to the story to understand
Right.
and know why.
Right.
We had a friend, a Jamaican friend, who came out of the closet. She'd been married for a long time, she came out of the closet. And what happened is that she came to the salon one night, and it's in the book. And I thought it was kind of strange for her to be there. She waited till everybody left. And she said, I've gone the other way. And I said, huh? I still didn't understand what she was saying. She was telling us this. She said she was having problems coming out of her mouth the right way to make us understand what she was trying to say, until it finally came out, look, I'm having a relationship with a woman. And I just looked at her and said, oh man. I said, well, that's that look on your face, because for the first time I saw her happy, because you got to understand her relationship.
Right.
But she didn't sneak around with this person.
Right,
She was single. She was just out one night and met this person at a pool place,
Right.
Okay. So what happened is that I said, look, we've been friends for a long time. So as long as you're happy, that's all I care about, right? So they became friends of ours.
Right.
Because she introduced us to the girl. It's fine, because I'm not going to judge you. How do I make you not my friend because you have a lifestyle that's different from mine?
Right.
How do I say we've been friends for 15 years. Well, maybe 10 years. How do I say you're no longer my friend because of that? She was a good human being,
Right.
And, well, over a period of a year to a year and a half, right? Apparently, somewhere along the line, my wife started having a relationship with our best friend's
Right.
partner.
Right.
And that was a sticking point right there. It wasn't just anybody. So I'm thinking to myself, how many times were the four of us together and they're playing footsies under the table or something? I don't know. I'm just saying.
Those are the things that mess with you.
They mess with you in your mind, because
Yeah.
you're wondering all this stuff. You're backtracking,
And it's betrayal from multiple places.
because you betrayed your best friend too.
Right.
Not only did you betray your best friend, but your other best friend, who's supposed to be your other best friend, which is your husband.
Right.
And so that, so if you look at the whole thing under that umbrella, then you see it was more than just that.
Right.
So that's where the deepness of the whole story takes a turn.
Right.
And the other place that the story itself took a turn was my son in Kosi, because you got to understand, we went through a lot of stuff at the time. But I had to make him feel comfortable, safe, because he was about 8 years old at the time. So you don't want him to feel, children feel your vibrations. And if I'm acting
Torn between the
scared,
two,
and, you know what I mean? And I'm getting him dressed for school one morning, because you got to remember, we had nothing.
Right.
And he said to me, a friend of ours gave me a Bible. And I remember that morning, I'm trying to look strong, I'm ironing his clothes, and he go and get the Bible, and he comes over with the Bible, and he looks up at me with the Bible. He says, "Dad, read the book of Job. It'll make you feel better." He said, "Let's read the book together."
How old was he at this time?
He was 8 years old.
Wow.
And I looked at him, I was surprised. I said, "Where did you get that from?" He said, "I don't know, it just came to me."
Wow.
And we sat there that morning, and we read the book of Job.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And my story is similar to that, because I realized at that point your provisions may change, but your provider stays the same.
Right.
And so what happened, that was the day that I think my whole outlook on stuff changed. Reading the book of Job and realize you can lose it all, but you can get that 10 times, 1,000 times over,
Patience.
which is what, yes. So as in the book, you start seeing me go through these different things that I went through.
Right.
Healing.
Right.
Because the most important thing is healing.
Right.
Most people, and not just that kind of relationship, any relationship.
Yeah.
If you don't heal, and I tell women all the time, if you get a man in your life that hasn't healed, he's going to bring that baggage into your relationship, and you too.
Vice
if
versa.
you haven't healed from that man cheating on you and doing all that stuff, I'm telling you, you're going to bring that baggage to your new relationship, and you're going to mess that one up.
Hurt people, they say, right?
That's right. Yeah.
I dig it. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking right now to the author of the book, Shadow Dancing, My Journey as My Wife Came Out of the Closet, Mr. Gary Cooper. We're going to talk some more, all right? Drop a little tune for you. This one is King Banton. It's called Tell It to Jah. Trust me, tell your business to Jah, not your girlfriends, not the homies, all right? It can get crazy.
Put your trust in Jah alone, yes. Jah alone, yes. Yeah. Give Jah your problem.
King Banton, ladies and gentlemen.
Not tell it to your friends.
It's called Tell It to Jah.
Give Jah your problems. Only He alone can solve them. Give Jah.
Remember, a little bit later, we're going to open up the lines.
Not tell
So
it.
if you have questions for Mr. Gary Cooper, you can ask.
Give Jah your
We're
problem.
going to also give you an opportunity to win an autographed book, all right? I don't want to be the only one here rocking the book, knowing the stuff inside and out.
Tell a little friend about your problem.
Y'all got to go get it, all right?
Tell him best.
But we're going to give away two.
Him best friend. Tell him girlfriend.
It's going to be a vibe, all right? Sharon, what's up?
Now your problems end up in a you and then. Next day, you reach down a me a pen. You never bargain for this in the beginning. It's like a domino effect that have no end. Give Jah your problems, yes. No tell it to your friends then, no. Give Jah your problems. Only He alone can solve them.
Tracy, what's up?
Your problems, yeah.
Big up my Hawaii Massive, my Canadian Massive. Donna Henry, what's up? Welcome.
Jah your problems.
Be Will, you on the road right now, right?
Alone can solve.
Thank you so much for logging in. I appreciate you.
Experience teaches wisdom. Before you win, sometimes you have to lose some. If you have to tell someone your problem, check yourself. Jah should be the only one.
Rupi Wagwan, Jayu the front of burner.
Problem. He alone should be your best friend.
Now, again, we're sitting here with Mr. Gary Cooper. He's the author of this big, dope book. Make sure you go and get it. All right, Mark, you're absolutely right. Very, very interesting. And it says this life story could be made into a movie. All right. I just need a
That's
roll.
what we're in the process of doing right
Yeah?
now. Yes.
All right. I need a roll, though.
I know, right?
let me get in there somewhere, you know. I've done some theater before. I got you covered.
Yes.
I know of people who've dealt with somewhat similar situations. It might not necessarily be a homosexual situation. It might be a heterosexual situation, but violations and you know what I mean?
Yes.
Being let down nonetheless, and stuff that led to dissolution of marriages and relationships and so forth. But when it comes to the same-sex ones, and I'm talking about men having their wives venture out with other women, prior to it ending And contrary to popular belief, this is not just a perversion of men, but sometimes initiated by the women themselves. The whole idea of inviting that third person into the matrimonial home, into the matrimonial bed.
Yes.
Do you think, let's say that, because I know other people who have gone through the same situation may have told you that that happened partway through.
Yes.
Do you think, had you welcomed that situation, it would have made it even more difficult when it was time to go separate ways, or would it have made things easier?
Well, it's funny that you should say that because, hindsight is 20/20. You start backtracking and you start reflecting on different things that happen because sometimes, there are signs there, but you don't understand the signs that you're looking at. And I remember one time she actually said that about bringing somebody. It was a ha ha ha. It was like a joke. And I'm pretty sure now, she was testing me because if I had said, okay, that's good, it's cool, that's what
somebody would have been downstairs, right?
Right. What I should have said, I tell you what, let me choose a person. But one thing I said, be careful, men. Be careful if your wife agree to something like that.
Right.
Because I know somebody right now, right, who went through that. And their wife ended up going to the woman. But the thing is that, look, man, the reality is this.
Right.
If a woman, marriage is just that serious.
Right.
Marriage is serious business.
You break that
sacred. You don't play with that, right?
Yeah.
And so what happened when you bring a third person into your relationship like that? Well, for the woman, if a woman agreed to it, not saying all the time, but most times, it's for her. It's not for you. She know what.
Don't fool yourself.
Because she know what it's like to have sex with you.
Right.
She may not know what it's like to be with that woman. So sometimes she might be testing the waters. Just I'm curious. So I want to see what it's like. And she may try. And in this case of the person I'm talking about, she liked it, and she ended up leaving them. And and it happens,
Right.
So
True
I
Pandora
say,
box.
Be careful what you ask for. The man that want all these women, I tell men that have multiple partners, if you do, it better be with somebody that you don't give a crap about.
Right.
Right? It better be with somebody that you don't give a crap about. And if you love your wife, you don't want no other woman in the first place. I mean, if you love them.
Right.
There's two things,
Right.
And so, and then you got to understand the word love and what it really means, because it also means respect. It's a lot of things,
Yeah.
And so, that's a good question, and it's a good point, because I tell people no, but she would bring that up a couple times. I've heard her make jokes about it, and I realized she was serious.
The truth is often said in jest.
She was laughing, but if I had said okay, we would have been knee deep in
with the same person who she left with.
Yeah, right.
Probably, you know what I mean? And you were on the bench watching what's going on, waiting to come in the game, and
and
nobody's tagging you in.
Nobody's tagging me in, right?
It happens.
Yeah,
it happens.
It happens.
It happens.
Yes.
I wonder too, because you mentioned in the book, and what I gathered was healing really started, and I mean true healing.
Yes.
When other men started sharing that experience, because not just in situations like this, but we do as human beings, and especially as men, think that our situations are unique to us. You know what I mean? Talk to me a little bit about that healing when more than one men started saying, Gary,
yes,
I've been there.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. I had no idea how many men, because what happened, so you have to understand, we were kind of public because from doing all of the fashion shows all over the place, having a salon that, I'm telling you, we had this real happening salon. So a lot of people knew us. So it made it comfortable for some men to come to me and say exactly what you're saying. I mean, and their stories are in the book.
Right.
But most of these men, I had no idea, because they had never. One guy moved from Alabama, and the reason he ended up down here is because of the exact same reason, to get away from the shame of what happened to him in Alabama. His homeboys was messing with him. So that's how he said, that's how I end up down here from Alabama.
Right.
So that's two men in the book that moved from other places.
Wow.
And so there, as I started hearing these stories, I said, wow, this happens all the time. So it really started a healing process, because I started to see it no more different from any other breakup.
Right.
Betrayal is betrayal. It doesn't matter. If you feel bad because your wife was sneaking around with anybody, it bothers you, you know. So
Hurt is hurt, you said, right?
and pain is pain. They both feel the same, and I've experienced both.
Right.
You know,
Stab me, shoot me, I'm gonna die.
yeah. So, that was the beginning of the healing process. The two things that was major was that morning in Kosi, and say, God send you who you need when you need it. And that
8-year-old,
morning, an 8-year-old, can you believe that?
Wow.
An 8-year-old, and that was the beginning of me giving everything perspective. You know, because I was thinking, okay, there was going to be some big thing that's going to. I didn't know. You got to go through the steps.
Right.
And that's anything. Because there's no magic potion, no switch to switch. You got to go through this, you know? And it's important that you go through this.
Right. Don't skip a step.
And it's also important for you to share with somebody else because you don't know who you help to get through what they're going through. That's why you go through those experiences, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I tell people to write about them and don't be afraid of them because it's very important because you think you're the only one. Quick story. We went to Bethune-Cookman College one time, and there was a girl that was the photographer. And the workshop that I was given, which I went there, I didn't realize I was given this workshop, but it turns out that I did. And once again, it ended up being a good experience. There was a lady, her name was Donna.
Right.
She was and let me tell you something. She was like a godsend. Her and Jay, helped me learn about this business. Milton. I started learning about things that I knew nothing about. I didn't know about speaking. She gave me this like real quick pep talk to tell me how to start it. And so it's all this stuff, right?
Right.
Watching Jay talk to people, listening to my wife tell me, look, when you get there, I'm telling you.
Wow. Speaking of your wife and now, because a lot of times we spend a lot of time, in the rearview mirror.
Yes.
But the good thing about it is that healing has taken place, growth has taken place, and and there is a today. You know what I mean?
There's a great today.
There's a great today.
Yes.
How much, not just in your healing process, but how much did the testimonies of those men and that healing help with you being able to exist in today's relationship?
Let me think about that one because that's a good question. What happened? Two things. It made me realize, and this is gonna sound really crazy, and not necessarily. I found the definition of love because I realized I wasn't in love with my first wife. It was more ego than anything.
Right.
So when I came, it was almost like somebody slapped me. Boy, why are you tripping? You're not in love with her anyway. So the other part is ego.
That ego is a crazy thing,
isn't it though?
especially coming from your musician. So that's built ego. That's taught ego
oh
too.
my God, yeah. So
Yeah.
so that was the beginning of me coming to terms, listening to the different stories and whatnot, how they came. So it was all these things that was put in my life to help give me perspective, and to look at it in the right way.
Right.
Because sometimes, it's not. It's how you see it,
Right.
Right. And so I started seeing this as a great experience, And then here's the other crazy part. When you go through something, I realize how important it is to understand what you just went through.
Right.
Because there's a lesson in there for you.
Don't lose a lesson.
And so what happened, sometimes we go through stuff and we're so busy worrying about and concentrating on what we're going through as opposed to the lesson. And I learned the lesson in there and it helped me to heal.
Wow.
And when I met my wife Rose, if I didn't go through that process, I wouldn't have been a good man for her.
Right.
I would have been a bad man with bad baggage.
Right.
So it took me those years to go through the process, and I was forced to because I had to take care of my son. So now I'm a single parent with a son, raising him because I guess his mother's whole thing was, look, I need to go through this new lifestyle, and the kid is going to get in the way right now.
Right.
That's the only way I can explain it.
Right. I got you.
Right. And so they weren't bonded anyway. Right. So there was a short time that we had to, that I had to take him over there certain days, and he would cry. And it's his mother.
Right.
He didn't want to go to his mother's house.
Wow.
And that was really tough for him. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was, and I mean, it was like a strange thing, but that's what happened. And so, once we got through the divorce, then it was like, okay, I don't need you now. Because I think at the time she was thinking that if I can use him in my divorce, it'll be okay because I get a chance to get the house. I might get all
Right.
this stuff. But it didn't turn out that way because once
Right.
again, that attorney friend of mine got in that, and I'm telling you, she worked a godsend.
Wow.
And so I ended up getting, the things that I got. So my life has been restored 100-fold
Right.
when it comes down to happiness and the things that make me feel like a human being, you know? So yes.
It's crazy.
And then on top of that, I love my wife Rose. I love her and my son's relationship.
Right.
Heck,
How-
their relationship is
that's-
sometimes
yeah.
better than ours in a
Yeah.
sense because she's such a nurturer, you know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
And he needed that nurturing, you know?
Right.
Yep, he needed a nurturer.
How important was it? Because here's what happens with people, not men, not women, but people.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they'll say women more so than men, but people.
Yes.
How important was it to heal before moving on with Rose?
Oh,
Because a
man.
lot of times people don't heal.
I know it. Well, I knew, you know what? I had great guidance. I had great women around me. I had female energy all around me in the salon. All my friends, my
Right.
best friend Todd, all of them. I had that female energy around me that was nurturing me,
Right.
speaking to me, saying stuff. I was going through these things, you know. That's the only way I can explain it.
Right.
I wasn't out there trying to find somebody
Right.
because I had
You
coaching.
had, yeah.
So I had to deal with him. And then of course I had my kids.
Healthy distraction.
Yes. And so I had to make sure he was okay.
Right.
And then there's my kids, my daughters, my sons. So I was busy there. And so by that time, years had gone by. And so, yeah.
Wow.
So when I met her, all the baggage was gone. I was a happy guy.
Right.
I wasn't looking for anybody. And it just came. It just happened.
Isn't that when he finds you, though?
Yep. Find your way.
You look, you find something. Might not find the right thing, but if
Yeah.
you're looking, you find it.
Oh, yes.
You know, and again, thanks to everybody that's logged in right now. Again, Sharon says, out of the mouth of babes, speaking of Nkosi.
Yes,
on way
yes,
back.
yes.
And time heals all wounds, right, Mark? Again, we're going to open up the lines. You guys will be able to call in eventually, get a book or who knows. I might just have you send me an email. Who knows? Just depending on time. We'll make it work. How different a man are you today?
Yes.
Not during the hurt, not during the trial and tribulations, but prior to you meeting Connie. How different is today's Gary from the Gary before he met Connie?
In a way, I'm the same when it comes down to my spirit. But I'm just a spirit that have a lot more lessons. And so, like going to jail, I look at those kind of guys, I look at them totally different. I needed to see that. I needed to be amongst them to see them. And so I look at guys, I thought that every guy in jail was a thug or whatever,
Dirtbag.
you know.
Yep.
That's what I thought. I have so much respect for those guys because you're not guilty until you're innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
And I realized how many guys in there hadn't really, you know, and I wish I could really tell you this. There was a guy in their story and he told me a story and it checked out as well because he got out before I did, you know?
Right.
Right? And because I don't know how he got, because once you finally bond out, you're back in your cell and they call you to let you know that you've been bonded out for. But even though it started that morning, it didn't take me till that evening to get out. I think it helped me to look at marriage differently.
Right.
So I went through all these experiences, but I was the same spirit, you know?
Right.
I've never been I would like to believe, I should say.
Right.
I think I've always had a pretty smooth spirit.
Right.
And thank God. And the reason I say that is because it didn't make me bitter.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I understand why you did what you did. Not why you did what you did,
Right.
but I understand why you hid what you hid. You just didn't do it properly because there's a way to do everything. And she just chose the most. She wanted to come out without being inconvenienced in any way.
Right.
You know? So I
She was
understand
using
that.
you in some regard, using you to facilitate that transition too.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. So that's what I found out, you know?
Right.
So I tell any woman, and I always leave with this message: look, if you're in the closet, and you know you're in the closet, and if you got a girlfriend on the side, I'm telling you, you're playing with fire.
Right.
Because I know somebody. My father-in-law told me he's a Jamaican man. Said, "Man, suck it up and be a man." And my therapist said, "No, don't be a man."
Right.
Because statistics show that most men in that same position either beat up the girlfriend, beat up the wife, kill the girlfriend. There was an instance where the guy killed the wife and he killed himself.
Right,
He
right.
said, "No, you're doing good."
Right.
You know?
Nothing good comes. Pops, that advice was not solid. All right?
Yes, yes,
Nothing
yes.
good comes from that one.
Yes. But he was just giving me that island man advice about it.
That's
you know?
that's how emotions aren't necessarily a strong point. You know what I mean?
Right,
Not for men.
Right.
How different is your approach now to your current relationship in adverse to the one with Connie? I mean, you've gone through. The thing is this: our trials and tribulations, even the good things that we go through, influence and shape who we are and how we look at things. Right.
Right.
Now, how different is your approach right now in terms of if you're watching the James Bond movie and Halle Berry's on it or 2-piece, are you looking at her to make sure she ain't checking out Halle too? You know?
Yeah. You know what? That's the beauty of healing.
Right.
It never crossed my mind. That's the beauty of healing.
Right.
So when you heal, it's like it never happened.
Right.
Because you understand that was unique to my ex-wife.
Right.
And you learn how to leave it there.
Right.
So I don't put anything, never cross my mind, ever.
Right.
Because I healed. And it took years to do it, but when I say I'm healed, and that's why it's important to also understand. So I got a chance to understand what took place and why. I got a chance to heal.
Right.
I got a chance to forgive. Because that was the other thing.
You know, that's
Forgiving.
something I really I'll get to that in a minute. But that whole forgiveness thing,
Yes, but it's important.
it's super uber important to be able to forgive because you can't. And again, the healing thing, you
Yes.
can't really heal
Without forgiving.
without that forgiveness.
That's right.
You know, wow. You know, you mentioned in the book, right? And I'll say this even before asking you that. One thing I find so profound about the book before it comes to an end
Okay.
is the fact that it is almost, instead of a testimonial to what you've been through and championing with the fellas that, yo, we ain't gonna deal with this, it's almost a guide to say, ladies, this is how you should do what you gotta do, so that we don't hurt people. And maybe that's a testament to healing because, like I said, hurt people. You've gotten over the hurt, so it's not a bitter book.
Yes, it's not.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
There's a lot of what's in this book that's really to help
Yes.
and strengthen
Yes.
not the man going through this,
Right.
but the woman deal with the sexuality issue.
That's correct.
So that's something I think that's really dope about this one. You also said that you don't think that women, you think that women should seek counseling.
Yes.
Or even, if they're going to go about coming out the closet, think about how it affects the family and the whole family dynamic.
Right.
As, businesses, because stuff like that's involved too, loved ones and
right.
so forth. And something I 110, 15, 20% agree with is that you shouldn't be talking to your pastor about that one.
Yes. Yes, I
How
said that in the book.
important do you think that professional help is, not for you,
Yes.
but for the woman
Right.
in a situation like this?
Well, I think the professional, but she need to get the right kind of professional help. That's important. And I spoke with somebody that tried to take therapy because one thing I did, I spoke with other women. In the book, I spoke with women that had gone through coming out to their husbands.
Right.
I'm in the hospital one night with Kosi, and these two, a female doctor, and I guess it must be the nurse.
Right.
I had just gotten back from a book signing. I forgot where it was at. It was maybe Georgia. I forgot where it was at. But I know I'm in the I'm in the emergency room, and Kosi's sitting there, and they're doing what they do. And the doctor said, looked at me and said something about me being tired. I said, yeah, I just got back in town. Like that, and Kosi said he just being modest. He just wrote a book. He just came back from promoting the book, and they said, "Oh, you wrote a book?" I said, "Oh, yes." What's the name of it? I told them the name. Oh, okay. What is it about? I said, well, I won't tell you what it's about, but if you look up the name, they left. I had no idea they left, gone to a computer, and look. She comes running back into the room. The doctor. She says. And the lady from, I guess, triage or something like that was taking our insurance information. I guess she's wondering why this doctor, she's coming in here and she gets behind me.
Right.
And she's whispering in my ear because, she saw the what the book was about on Amazon, right? She said, my God, I got to get this book. I said, why is that? She said, my mother took my father through this exact same thing when we was coming up.
Wow.
right?
Wow. There's probably still some healing she needs to do.
Yes, and so she said that. She said, "Man, I'm going back and I'm going to order this book."
Wow.
And no sooner that she said that, the nurse came back in here
Right.
and said, "Man, I'm going to order this book." She read what the book was about.
Right.
She didn't say she had an experience in it, but she said she was going to order the book. You know. And I know this lady's wondering, why are these people coming and whispering in his book, in his ear like that? You know. So yeah. So those are my experiences. So your experiences are supposed to be. You're supposed to embrace your experiences.
Right.
You're supposed to learn the lesson, and you're supposed to take it, and you're supposed to pass it on.
Yeah. Teach.
Supposed to teach somebody else how to go through this.
Yeah.
And
that's the purpose of the pain.
That's the purpose of it. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, again, chopping it up right now, Mr. Gary Cooper. You're obviously a man of God, a man of faith, right?
Yes.
So am I, and two other people logged in here. I wonder this, based on your thought now, you know, and even there in the book, you said that you would not recommend, nor would I, that they go seeking counseling from a pastor.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yes. Now, pastors are going to get really upset with me, but you know, look, unless it's a pastor that really understands the fact that he don't know who a person is, because a lot of things are, who knows, genetics. You just don't know.
Right.
You just don't know. Is it genetics? Is it chromosomes? Because in the books, if you notice, I added different scientific studies on that subject, because there have been scientific studies on that subject of chromosomes and the whole thing.
Right.
Right. Now, if you want to come along with that, unless it's a pastor that know about that, it's hard to give somebody guidance on things that's inside them that nobody knows about, you know? And so I didn't want a pastor to come and make a person feel bad about how they feel or who they are.
Yes.
Because you're talking about who a person is genetically.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Now, do you have some girls that do it for a fad? Yes, you do.
Yeah.
I know some. And one of them is in the book, because we had to talk about it, right?
Big up yourself.
Right? So, yes, there are. But you're talking about a person that might be genetics to who they are.
Right.
Just like you are, you know what I mean?
Right.
And the story that I told you about the girl that was taking what she thought was blood pills for what turns out to be probably hormone pills or something like that to keep up. So, you know, and in the 1940s, they probably did that, you know?
Yeah. Did all kinds of crazy studies on it.
Yeah, that's probably what they did. They probably pull the parents in the back and say, hey, you got to, you know, she got both sex organs, or, you know, they cut one off and we got a girl. Whatever they do, you know what I mean? Right. So since you don't know and you can't tell me that you know, there's nothing about you as a pastor that can convince me that you know. When you look at a person, let the professional, people that study this, handle that.
Yeah. I dig that, because, and I had a conversation here once with a pastor, and I had to selectively choose who the pastor was too, for that same reasons, because you know, sometimes again they don't speak English, they speak theology.
Yes,
no matter what it is, it comes right back around to the book,
right? And I understand it, but you know, I don't think the book is is really dealing with that like that. You know,
right.
If I want spiritual guidance, and you know, then I'll
come to you for that. But
when it comes down to that issue right there, you know, it's like if I get a cut on my arm, I'm not going to go to the pastor to tell him to pray over this cut.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the doctor. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. And the crazy thing about it too is, again, that's a sticky situation, because we're talking about a church here, and where does most judgment takes place?
In the church. Right.
In the church.
In church.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you so much for logging in with us. Frida on my UK Massive that's on right now. It's okay. They're not too late. You know what I mean? Have fun with us. We appreciate you. Helene, everybody that's on here. Again, we'll open up phone lines in a minute. You cannot call via Facebook, though. Please don't call on the Facebook line. It'll interrupt the feed, but I'll drop the phone numbers on the screen. You can call in a couple of minutes, all right? Overall, when we sum things up, because at the end of the day, I like to sum things up.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Why was it important to write this book?
To help, I wrote this book to kind of help other people to understand what they're going through, because so many people are going through this. And I made it in a way that it's not just about a woman coming out of the closet. I made it about infidelity and betrayal in general.
Right.
I made it about things that were spiritual, as well. It's everything is in this book. Any way you want to look at it, the teachings, I think, is in this book when it comes down to going through problems. Men do not talk about it. Women get together with their women, friends, when they go through stuff, they laugh, they cry on each other's shoulders, get some wine, they go through. They go through and they deal with their feelings.
Right.
A man break up, and he get with his homeboys, you know what they do? Man, let's go out to a club, man. You need some women, man, you know? That's their cure.
Need some
getting
distractions.
over woman is getting some more women, you know?
Let's sprinkle some woman on this food.
Yeah, well, women deal with their feelings. And
Right,
that was
right,
one
right.
of the things. Men do not talk about their feelings, you know?
Is that why the suicide rate for men is way higher? Huh?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Now, since the book came out,
Yes.
you've done the book signings.
Yes.
You've spoken to the people at these lectures, these symposiums, these book signings.
Yes.
And of course, you have those people who just come up to you wherever they see you because they've read the book and they have questions, whatnot. Right?
Yes.
Had an episode the other day, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus.
Yes.
What's the difference in the reaction that you get regarding this book from the men versus the women?
Well, women totally get it, I think. Not saying that men don't. But one thing that a woman never say to me, and I'm laughing now because this is the only way I can see it.
Right.
Man, you should have been laying that pipe better. Yeah, I mean, men tend to look at it in a sexual way, but
everything.
It don't have. It's like you could be the best lover on the planet.
Yeah.
You can have your wife on the hanging off the lamp poles and doing. It's not about that. It's not about sex, and that's what a person knows. So the fellas will say stuff like that. That's what. Man, you should have just climbed in between the two of them. You know, I mean,
I was gonna say,
these
how
are
many
the things
times
that
have you
men
gotten
say.
that? Listen,
those
man.
are the things I get from men. I never get that from women.
Wow.
I never get that. I
Should've
only
done
get that
Gary.
from men. Man.
That's how you should. That's how you should ride off in the sunset. Say, listen,
Yes.
listen, babe. Since you hurt me,
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes.
Take one for the team.
Yes, you're right. Right. So yeah, it's just
The male way of looking at it.
Yes, I never get that from women though. So yeah, so you're right. They're two totally different oppositions. You know, you know what I mean?
Men are from Mars,
And women
and
are from
women are from Venus.
Right. Right.
The word forgiveness comes up once or twice or thrice, right?
Yes.
And we spoke about it briefly earlier.
Yes.
Have you truly forgiven her?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Let me tell you something. The first person was the person that she was messing with on the side. About a year later, she came by my shop and she looked really stressed. And she said, "Can I talk to you?" I said, "Sure." We went outside, sat in her car. And I know she said, "I was expecting you to curse me out." She told me what happened. She said after a couple of weeks, she said, "I didn't know all this was going to happen like that." And I told her to just lose my number. I didn't know that, which would explain to me why by that December she was calling me trying to get us back together because her entire world was falling apart.
Right.
And what happened, she said, "Look, I need to ask you to forgive me." And I said to her, I said, you don't realize that I forgave you a long time ago for that.
Wow.
Right? Because I truly had. And I hugged her and I said, "Look, I love you. And I want you to understand that you asking me to forgive you was for you." I said, because now you can go on with your life and you understand.
Weight off
You've
your
done
shoulder.
what you're supposed to do. And then maybe about a year after that, I'm in the salon and my phone rings. And it's my ex-wife. I'm looking at it. That was shocking. What would you call me? So she called me, and she said the same thing. "Look, are you doing anything?" I said, "No, I'm not doing anything right now. But can you talk?" "Yes." She said, "Look, I'm so sorry for what I did." She asked me the same thing. I said, "Look," and I said the same thing. I said, "You don't understand. I forgave you a long time ago for that. You know." And I say, "Look, all I want you to do is to understand what you did, how you feel." And what you did. And as long as you understand that and you get the lesson, I want you to go on with your life.
Right.
Because I'm fine.
Right.
Right?
Healed.
I'm healed.
Bigger man than me, Gary.
I know. But
I would have tried. I would have still tried. I would have fished one. I was like, all right, if you want this forgiveness, all right. I'm just saying, since you put me through this.
No,
no.
I know you would. I know better than that.
No, but you know what? The funny thing is, sometimes it's a blessing when somebody saves you from an eternity of nightmare.
Yes,
because
yes.
because sometimes you're that good a person that you would want to bail out of the situation, and you need somebody to rescue you.
Yes.
So
yes,
truth
yes.
be told,
Yes. I feel you.
Kelly
Yeah.
rescued you.
Yes.
And not like somebody coming to your home, take your spouse, and realize what kind of craziness they took. Now they're trying to return them.
Yes.
It doesn't work that way.
No.
You know, once
Yeah.
once you buy it, you buy it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. But it just worked out really well. But I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better ending. You know, man, I'm happily married. Like I said, I have the best wife on the planet. And like I said, I have more in everything else than I started with, you know?
Wow.
So sometimes, you know, how they say, sometimes all of the dark spirits can come and take away stuff, but, you know, God's got a way of just bringing it and building all the way back. So, okay, you went through this.
Yeah.
And like I said, you still you still understood
Right.
that your provisions might have changed, but your provider stayed the same.
I like it.
And it didn't change.
Cleaning out the closet, making way for some new clothes.
There you go. Oh, I like that.
I dig it. I
like
dig
that,
it.
yes.
I dig it, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Gary Cooper. Now, you guys, like I said, you have a child together, and Kosi's a child together.
Yes.
Michael is not.
Right.
All right. Relationship.
Yes. He's cool. Yes.
You good?
Oh, yes.
Nice.
Because thank God, him and my other son, you know, they remained like they were like brothers.
Right.
My older son.
Right.
And I guess he kept saying, "Look, you know that's not true." And over the time, it became obvious to anybody with a brain that that didn't happen.
Right.
That didn't happen like that.
Right.
You know. And so, you know, I know I didn't do anything to your mom, and
Right.
I didn't fault him for feeling that way, because I would feel the same way if I thought somebody did something to my mother.
It's natural
So
instinct.
I understand that. Right. It's
Yeah.
a natural instinct. I
Yeah.
understand that. You know. I understand you feeling that way. You know.
It's mom.
But it's obvious that I didn't. You know?
Right. And truthfully, you know what though? Not the same thing, but with similar circumstances.
Yes.
You know, oftentimes, even if he believed it right then, and even if he did not believe it right then and there,
Yes.
he probably had to do that.
Yes.
Because he had to. You know, last thing you want his mom turn around and say, "Oh, so you chose sides, huh?"
Yes,
You know what
yes,
I'm saying?
yes,
So
yes,
he
yes,
probably had to do that.
Yes. And at the time, he was about, I would like to say about 19, maybe at that time. He was probably 18 or 19 years old at the time.
Right.
So
I got you.
I took him from age 4, 5, all the way up to, you know. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a real bond. It doesn't break that easily.
Right. So we're still fine today.
I love it.
Yes.
Now, based on all the information that you've gathered after your experience, right? And even more so after writing the book,
Yes.
do you think that there is, and this is different from the book now,
Okay.
because now that you've written the book, it's going to
Yes.
impact the world,
Yes.
all right, in some way, shape, or form. The women, the way they handle the situation, the men, how they deal with the situation. And truth be told, it goes the opposite way sometimes. We've heard about that a lot more in terms of dudes stepping out on women with other dudes, whatever the case may be.
Right.
The science is the same in terms of the healing. You know what I mean? But I've had this conversation. I don't know what you think about it. I sometimes we wonder if there's an agenda to emasculate society right now. The overall fundamental dynamics of families, the structure of a home, and by that I mean removing the concept of heterosexuality and homosexuality, and then just making it sex, so that we'll live in a world where later on, if your daughter's with a girl, or a same-sex relationship, or your son's in a same-sex relationship, you don't see it as gay or straight. You just see it as just sex. And that's who they're dealing with at the time. You know, we sit down sometimes and we say, in this world that we live in right now, there are a lot of agendas that are being nurtured.
Oh,
Do
yes.
you ever look at it from that standpoint, that that's where the world is headed, emasculated? Break it down. No heterosexual, no gay, no whatever. It's just people.
You know, I think that is exactly what's going on right now. There was a time I used to say this years ago when I first started writing a book. Looking at television and the difference in the way it would come across. When you saw like Oprah, or you saw any television show, if you saw the subject of a man being gay and coming out of the closet to his wife, the narrative of that show would be all the things she had to go through when she found out her husband was gay.
Right.
When the wife was lesbian and came out to her husband, then the narrative of the show turns to all the things she had to go through to hide her deep secret, and one day she found the strength and courage to come out. You understand?
Right.
So I understand it's really an issue that I think we're just starting to see all the time. Mm-hmm. You see it in commercials. You see it. It's normal now.
Right.
And I think it's trying to get, you got people that's trying to get the world to just see people as they should. Mm-hmm. You understand? Mm-hmm. I think we do need to come to a point where you just see a person and you just see them as a person. Mm-hmm. Because that's what God said.
Right.
Love your neighbor as you would yourself. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't discriminate against your neighbor. You wouldn't discriminate against yourself.
Right.
So all the things that you wouldn't do to yourself, why would you do it to somebody else, seeing that God say don't judge them and treat that person as you would yourself?
Right.
That's what the Bible says. Mm. Now, if the Bible say that, you can't say one thing here and then over here say, but unless he's this or that, then you can treat him any way you want to treat him.
Right.
It doesn't say that.
Right.
So I got to stick by what's right. Mm-hmm. So yes, we are moving into a society where they're trying to get you to see people as everywhere and normalize everything.
Right.
You know.
And your eyes got open because in the book you also mentioned that, like the thing that you said, that's something I say all the time. Every time I buy a car, I feel like they gave them away after that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if whatever car I want,
you're right.
Everybody's got one now.
Yeah. I do say that. I say because I notice whenever you buy a car, if you buy a Mazda, a pink car, you never paid attention. They were already out there. They were always there. And all of a sudden you start paying attention and it's like, man, all of a sudden they started manufacturing all these Mazdas, pink Mazdas, you know what I mean? No, they were there all along. And these people that you see, they've always been there. That's why if you notice, I said in the book, in the beginning, when I was young and a little boy, I know there was a gay and lesbian community there, but we were just so insulated. As a matter of fact, at the time, the word gay meant being happy.
So they went by another name. That's what it
meant to us, right? So, but they were there.
Right.
All along. It's not like they weren't there.
Right.
I can't pretend like my ex-wife didn't always feel that way.
Yeah.
Because the funny part is that when you come out, you start finding all this stuff. Mm-hmm. I had no idea that she had a whole lesbian lifestyle in her past. Mm. See?
Yeah.
So just because you don't see it don't mean that it's not there.
Yeah.
It's just that now we're starting to see it. Or we saw it all along. We just didn't realize
we didn't know what
looking
at
it.
Yeah. I saw this meme across with the two eyes that said, "What's been seen cannot be unseen."
I know, right? Yeah, I know. It was right in cartoons all the time. You never realized it. You know?
That's true, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was there.
That's true, too. Ladies and gentlemen, we got the two books. Again, we're talking to Mr. Gary Cooper. We got two of these books we're going to give up. Mr. Cooper is going to sign them. All right? And you can either call 954-372-5453. I know a lot of people prefer to email or email me. You can do it in my inbox here on Facebook, which is facebook.com/homegrown with G. Cole, or the homegrown with G. Cole at gmail.com. When I do check it, I'm just going to look at the date stamp and I'm going to see who sent it in first. It's 2 books. All right. If you email, they'll just be autographed books. If you call in or if we get it done before we get out of here, then I'll know the names of the people who are getting the books and then we'll be able to actually have them signed to you. But if not, we'll just get 2 autographed copies of the books and then and I'll send it out to you. All right. Don't worry about the shipping. I got you covered. And if you're close by, you can always come by the studio and pick it up. All right. In the meantime, I got another joint for you because we're not done yet. We're going to come back and talk some more. This one is Ezran with a song called Young Girl.
Thickest makeup, your fancy dressed up.
How we doing over there?
Could not hide the scars inside. Your sweet smile, pretty eyes could not disguise the hurt you feel inside. Young girl.
Hello.
Young girl.
Hi, how are you? And who are we speaking with? Shirley? Shirley, did you just want to claim your book or did you actually want to speak to?
But if they only knew the half of the story, one would think your life must be so sunny and bright, because you hide so well the clouds behind. Younger, younger, said I don't wanna see you crying in the rain. No, younger, younger.
Shirley, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. Go ahead and ask your question one more time.
Okay, I just wanted to know, I tuned in a little bit late. Did you see any signs during marriage of, her lifestyle?
At the time, no. Now, yes. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. Sometimes things are hidden from us and we don't see it.
Well, no, I'm not even sure if they were hidden. They might have been. Some things were like right in the open, right? And as a matter of fact, I remember something happened one time that I asked her, and she went off on me.
Wow. Normally the case.
Yeah, right. And I was like, oh, I'll never ask that
Okay.
again.
Yeah, got on the defense.
Got real defense. But like I said, as a husband, you do what husbands do. I mean, so yes, there were little small things, but I was so busy. You have to understand how busy we were. We were so busy. We had a salon. We were constantly doing hair and fashion shows. I mean, we were in the salon. My salon was open 7 days a week, and we were doing shows in between all of that. Plus, yes, and so at one time we were like platform artists. I mean, it was something else, Wow. So yeah, so.
Okay.
But that's a good question, by the way. And I'm asked that question all the time.
And Shirley, should
I'm
we
not
be
a
autographing one of these
reader.
books for you, Shirley?
Oh, sure.
Are you in town? Are you local?
Actually, I'm in Louisiana. I live in Fort Lauderdale, but I'm in Louisiana right now.
All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have the book for you, signed for you, and then and I didn't know if you were gonna hop off the line, so I wanted to catch up before you went. And then what I'll do is you can always just inbox me here because you're watching on Facebook Live. Just inbox me an address and I'll get it in the mail for you, unless you think you're coming back to Fort Lauderdale real soon and you can pick it up. But either way, I'll get it to you. So if you want me to mail it to you, just in my inbox, give me your address, and I'll get it to you. But if you had another question, go on.
No, I was saying I'm not a very big reader, but this book has piqued my interest, and I'm really gonna read it.
And you give me some feedback too, by the way.
Oh, definitely.
You'll definitely enjoy it. Thank you so much for calling, and I appreciate you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
You're
you, Shirley.
welcome. You're welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, there's more calls coming in. All right. We got so many calls, and of course, we take them one at a time. So for the 15 that we just missed, go ahead and call back in. There's another opportunity to get another signed one. All right. And again, like I said, we'll get it out to you. It's all about the vibe. It's all about the information. It's all about the music. I'm telling you, I'm enjoying it. The book is awesome. You'll love it. I love it. Y'all will.
Thickest makeup, your fancy dress down.
My poor St. Lucie caller, call back in.
Could not hide the scars inside. Your sweetest smile, those pretty eyes could not disguise the hurt you feel inside. But if they only knew the half of the story, one would think your life must be so sunny and bright, because you hide so well the clouds behind.
Yes. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
All right. Thank you so much for calling in. And I'm sorry. Go ahead. You were saying.
So I'm Jay Sharp. I just wanted to call in and congratulate one of my favorite
Jay,
author.
this.
Hey, Gary.
How you doing? Now she's another great author, by the way.
Oh, she writes.
Oh man, let me tell you something. She wrote a book called Chicken Lyrics. Right?
Wow.
And then she's got another book out.
Is it recipes?
Oh man, let me tell you something. She's the one that helped me learn the business, because there's the business of publishing.
Right.
And she took me and Rose, man. I'm telling you, and she just took us under her arms, and even Rose know more about the business now.
Wow.
Because of Jay. I'm telling you.
We all need a Jay in our lives, don't we?
I'm gonna stop him because he's gonna go on and on, and this is about him. Okay,
I'm sorry.
This is his spotlight. So I want everybody who is listening to the sound of my voice to go out and grab that book. To call in, buy the book, steal the book. I don't care what they got to do. They need that book, okay? Because here's the thing. This is such a magnificent story about forgiveness.
Yeah.
That's what I took away from Gary's book, is the impact it has on the reader in terms of just how much, no matter what you're going through, you find the gratitude in it, number one.
Wow.
And of course, the forgiveness, the heart of forgiveness. And him being in it has gone through so much. And then to be in a space or a place of willingness to forgive and move forward. This is why I'm so thrilled and why I strongly encourage anybody to read that book. I love the story for the fact that the end result is where we all need to get to.
Yes.
And it is really a life lesson about no matter what you go through, there's always light at the end of the tunnel.
Look for the silver lining, they say, right?
Exactly. Gary, I commend you for your courage.
Thank you so much.
I know the journey hasn't, I know the journey. I've been on it with you.
That's right.
I mean, big up to Rose. Oh my God, what a Rose. I mean,
right.
The name is so befitting.
That's
have no idea. I love you guys so much. I don't want to take up a lot of your time, but don't let him talk about me. Let him talk about himself.
We love you too, Jay. Thank you.
I love you guys. Enjoy the night.
Bye-bye. Now.
Good one.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah,
Wow.
she's something else, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, you hear, I'm telling you, the book is something else. This one is Chris D. Montague, Little Things We Do. Again, we got another one here. Go ahead and call in. The number's on the screen. It is 954-372-5453. For the calls that we missed, just go ahead and try again. Mark, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Sometimes I wonder,
Sharon, I appreciate you too.
on earth did I find somebody like you? It's such a shame. Spent my whole life trying to find you. Can't explain how I feel, and it's no lie. From this day, I love you till the day that I die. Little things you do to me makes me into you, girl.
Aqua Gem Records release.
Things you say to me makes my world brand new.
Samantha, I appreciate you.
Never
It is in fact a dope book.
feels like this, like a newborn child. Oh, what a joy. Rock me, baby, just rock me tonight. Can't explain how I feel.
At the end of the day, and I always, I say this to musicians a lot more so than anybody else. At the end of the day, right? When we read the book and we put it on the shelf.
Yes.
Because for the most part, we read the book and when it comes to a close, we put it on the shelf, revisit it later,
Yes.
or tell somebody, hey, I got this dope book on my shelf. You should check it out, right? At the end of the day, when a book goes up on the shelf, what do you want the people to take away from the entirety of this piece?
I want you to take away from this book that is very important that you never forget. Not what somebody told you about the Word of God, and because regardless of what religion that you practice,
Right.
the one thing that all religions teach is do unto others as you would have others do unto you. So I want them to take away, regardless of what your religion is, that you remember that one thing, regardless,
Right.
right? I want you to take away of the importance of forgiving and healing, because we have so many people that have not healed.
I got you.
And the cornerstone of healing is forgiving. That's one of your first steps. But you got steps in between, understanding what you went through, the lesson, the whole thing. So it's a lot of things that you have to remember and understand when you go through any, not just a breakup, anything that you think is a challenge to you. You have to understand what the challenge was, and you have to understand the lesson. Because if you don't understand the lesson, you will continue to go through the same thing, because you will continue to make the same decision.
Right.
That got you there in the first place. You won't see it.
Right.
So I want you to understand that the reality is that when you meet a person, you have to see that person, and you look at them, you got to see God in that person, because that's who created them, if you
Right.
believe in God.
Right.
Now, you got people that don't believe in God, okay, but you still got to see them as a human being. So regardless of what you feel, you got to see that, and you got to come to the understanding of your lesson. You got to understand why you would go to Amazon.com
Right.
or Barnes and Nobles to buy the book.
And I say this, it's one of the best reads I've had in a long,
Yes,
long time.
You have to understand why you would go there to get that, because there are many lessons in that. But I want you to come away, and if you don't come away with nothing else, just remember that one thing: forgiveness, understanding the lesson,
Yeah.
and God. Just go through those things.
Wow.
However you see him, just study the words that make you into a human being.
Right,
Because
right,
that's
right,
what we're all trying to become.
Wow. Somebody said to me once that the strongest soldiers get the heaviest loads to carry. So, that's a testament too, because not everybody comes out on the other end speaking the way you speak, sounding the way you sound, thinking the way you think.
Thank you so
That in
much.
itself is a testimony.
Thank you so much.
When you were in the back of that patrol car going down to the precinct, if somebody had turned around and said to you, the officer had turned around and said, you know what, you're going to write a book about this one day. What would you have said?
I would have told them they were crazy. Because all I could think about it was, man, these things on my arms are really tight.
I like it.
That's all I thought about,
I like it. Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen.
But if I
trust me.
can I ask anybody? They can always follow me on Facebook. They can always follow me on Twitter. They can always follow me on Instagram. You can always pick up the book at Barnes and Nobles, Amazon, actually Walmart.com.
Really?
Almost any book format that you want to order it from, you can get it.
Right.
You can download it.
My Kindle people.
You can go to my website, Shadow Dancing by GaryCooper.com. So you got so many ways you can get this book. And if you do buy the book, I thank you so much in advance, but please give me feedback. I love feedback.
Right.
Positive or negative, I can take it.
Right.
I can take anything you say. As a matter of fact, I'll think about it,
Right. It's a great book, Gary.
Thank you, sir.
It's a great book, and again, the thing that I take away from the book, and I'm absolutely amazed, is just your perspective at the end of it.
Thank you.
Most people, I'm not going to say most men, I'm going to say most people, human beings. It's not normal for us to, or it's not that easy for us to take that view, that vantage point, that approach. You know what I mean? If somebody hurts us, we are kind of wired to lash back out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And even at the end of it, not necessarily to forgive, but more so to forget.
Yes.
Peace out. I'll forget about you, but
Yes.
but don't let them ask me about you, because I'm gonna tell them how terrible a human being you are.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So just the way you wrote this book,
Thank you.
it's not just a story. It is indeed an excellent story. Trials, tribulations, and ultimately redemption.
Thank you.
Right?
Yes.
But at the end of the day, so many lessons. Learned whatever you learned in therapy. Seems like you shared some of it in the book.
Yes.
So there's a little bit of therapy in here too.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
The pleasure is mine. On behalf of the listeners here, and again, you know what? Let's do this one more time before we get out of here, because sometimes, for the people who just got on, drop your social media one more time for the masses.
Okay, I'm on Facebook, of course, Gary Cooper. I'm on Instagram. I think it's Gary Cooper 2016. I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn. Like I said, you can pick up the book at barnesandnobles.com, amazon.com, Kobo, Walmart.com. Any format that sell books, you can buy it there.
Google it.
Google it.
There you go. Take it somewhere,
Google
right?
There you go, yes.
And again, it is Shadow Dancing. I'm going to hold it up to the camera so you can see it. It is Shadow Dancing, my journey as my wife came out of the closet. Here it is. All right. The book is right here. It's a great read. I'm going to do one. We're going to sign one more. And of course, I'll go through. I know a bunch of people are trying to call in. My apologies. We can only take one at a time. But I'll go to the emails. I'll see who is the next person. We'll get the book out to you. All right. And of course, let me just drop this on your screen so you can remember. Let's brand it in your minds. You need to go get this book. All right. Keep it moving. Keep it grooving. It is Homegrown. See the image? That's Gary. All right.
I knew something was wrong the moment I walked into the house. As my feet touched each step on the staircase, I could feel the tightening in the hollow of my chest. Something was about to go down. As I entered the room, Connie turned and realized that rarely does one hear the story of how it affects a man or what he goes through when confronted with the reality that his wife is in love with another woman. There.
And there you have it. Thank you so much for tuning in. It has indeed been a pleasure. Remember, subscribe to the podcast, Homegrown with G. Cole, available on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio, radio.com, YouTube, all your podcast platforms. We're available everywhere. My guest tonight was Mr. Gary Cooper, author of the book, Shadow Dancing, My Journey as My Wife Came Out of the Closet. Keep it moving, keep it grooving. It is Homegrown.
Nakikinika sa música, Homegrown with G. Cole.
Estás escuchando Homegrown con G. Cole.
您现在正在收听的是 Homegrown with G. Cole.
You're listening to Homegrown with G. Cole.